Hey all, in case you missed it, this week I am not in Chicago. I am in the outskirts of Detroit, Michigan, and I am checking out the 2025 Nissan Armada. This is all new for this model year, so we're going to do a quick walk around of the exterior and the interior, and then we're going to dive right into the things that I like and the things that I think Nissan could have done just a little bit better. So, my name is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Let's take a closer look at the 2025 Nissan Armada right now. From the exterior perspective, the biggest thing that you're going to notice that is different on the 2025 Nissan Armada is really just the front face. This is completely new. You have new lighting treatments, new grille, and just a completely new design to the front end that makes it look a little bit more aggressive and off-roady, outdoorsy. But it has still enough elegant touches that I think it still bears a resemblance to its luxury sibling or cousin, the Infiniti QX80. I like the wheels. I like the chrome accents. I think that this looks really big. And by the way, it is big. But I think it has a nice look to it. So the rear has also gotten a refresh from the lighting signature perspective. You have the chunky C taillights, the light bar that goes across the back, and I think this looks good. I think it looks good. This is a Platinum Reserve Edition, so a lot of the features you're going to see on this specific model are not going to be on your base trims. So let's hop inside because it's cold and check out what's going on here. So the first thing you're going to notice is you have this single piece of glass that goes all the way across from the gauge cluster to the infotainment screen, and these are two 14.3-inch screens. This is not standard. This is going to be on your top tier trims. The lower trims will have the 12.3-inch screens, so you'll still get like this feel, but it won't look exactly like this. And this also has a really cool display that essentially changes as the day goes on. So earlier in the day, this was like the sun was up, and now the sun is getting ready to set. So you can see like you've got like a little sunset in the background. So I think that looks pretty interesting. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have wireless charging, and if you've seen the Infiniti QX80, you will perhaps remember that there was a screen here for the climate controls. Well, the Nissan Armada actually has switches and dials. I like this better. I'm just going to put that out there. I like that better. Because this is the Platinum Reserve, you do have some nice materials and the quilted leather. You have the very large panoramic roof. You just have some really good up-level feeling materials here. Everything is well stitched, well padded, well textured. And you even have some wood accents around the edge, and the dash is well stitched. So this just, I like the way this looks. I think this is a good interior. Another thing that you have in this specific vehicle, because this is the Platinum Reserve trim, is the Klipsch audio system. And unfortunately, I can't really show you what this system sounds like, but trust me when I say this is one of the better systems I've encountered recently. It's really good. All right, now that we've done the brief walk around, I want to just jump right into the things that I like on the Nissan Armada. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a little bit of an uneven review because I liked more on this vehicle than I didn't like. So let's just start with the powertrain, because I know that is probably going to be a little bit of a pain point for people who are going to miss the V8 engine. What I want to say to you is you need to test this before you comment and say that you don't like it. This has more power than the outgoing V8, 425 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. It is really nice. It is mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and the whole thing works together really well. I'm not going to call this effortless, but it is smooth and it's easy. I had no struggling with merging to get onto traffic. on the highway. I had no problems accelerating out of stoplights, and it's really good. So you may miss the idea of a V8 engine. You will like this twin turbo V6. I'm just going to say that. And that is where I'm starting my like list. Flipping the camera around, I want to say there is a whole lot of like going on in this screen pan right now. So, you know what? We'll just start with the wireless Apple CarPlay. I like the larger icons. They're going to be easy to hit and easy to see while you're driving. I like this bottom navigation here that allows you to effortlessly go between your native system and your music and your navigation and your climate controls all the way back to your Apple CarPlay. So it's going to make things pretty easy for you to jump back and forth between your car systems and your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto features. And I really like how this has been integrated. They did a nice job here. You have your vehicle settings, which also shows up in the side menu here, and it can take you into, you know, your connections, your vehicle, and all of that kind of stuff. So I like what they've done here. This is also very swipeable and very customizable. I like what they did here too. I will say that I also really like the Google built-in system. So this does come with Google built-in. So this is the Google map here. And it's a 5-year free trial. And they haven't decided what it will cost for a subscription fee after that, but you do get 5 years free. And in those 5 years, you can do things like say, hey, Google, tell me a joke.
Why was the student's report card wet? It was below sea level.
Haha. Womp womp. But you can also say things like, hey, Google, turn up my heat.
Okay, turning up the temperature for the driver by 4 degrees.
And then we'll say, hey, Google, turn on my heated steering wheel.
Alright, turning on the steering wheel.
So it'll allow you to use audible commands for navigation features, for your climate control features, for entertainment purposes, telling you a joke, and it all is done in pretty seamless, natural language. So it's pretty easy to use, and it does a pretty good job in terms of how it will operate. In turn, if you're using Apple CarPlay, you can also use the Hey SIRI Audible and get your phone to do things through the system as well. I will say that is a little bit slower, but it still works pretty well. Other things to like that are going on, you've got, as I mentioned in the walk around, your actual switches, dials, buttons instead of a screen here. And I like the fact that you have actual touch points with lights to know that things are on or off for your climate controls. You have, a volume knob. These are your drive modes here, but I like the fact that you have toggle switches and things instead of a screen. All of this makes it much less distracting while you're driving to change your climate control if you're not going to use your voice commands. While we're in this area, you know what? I may as well hit the camera button because this is really cool. I mean, okay, it's a little bit dirty at the moment because weather, but you have the around view monitor. You have different angles and views that you can look at. And what's really cool is you have the option to do this. This in your front camera. Your camera goes all the way across the front, the wide view, ultra wide view angle. And I mean, I just think that is really cool. Now, the image is going to be a lot more clear normally, but because of the weather, it's a little bit dingy. But I think this is really cool. Living in a city, I could see use case for this all the time. Steering around trash cans, trying to pull into tight parking spaces, seeing around edges and corners, pulling into a garage. I think this is really cool. I've never seen anything like this, and yeah, I think that's really cool. It only has front view application at the moment, but I don't know. They're always working to discover new things, so maybe we'll see it in the rear view at some point. Oh, you know what? While we're still on the camera, may as well show this. So you have the ability to have different camera angles, and you can show the 3D view, as well as, this is really cool. Okay, so I'm going to put it in drive for a minute just so you can see this. You have an invisible hood, and as I move forward, you can see it starts to fill in the blanks and show what's going on underneath the vehicle. That is really cool. So lots of cool camera technology, updated system. Yes to all of that. I love the new camera systems. As I mentioned during the walk around of the intro, I'm also a huge fan of the materials. These textures feel really good. This is padded. This is padded. This is nicely stitched. So you have excellent looking materials, but they also feel nice as well. Even here, they didn't put black lacquer or shiny stuff on this, and I like that. I like the brushed aluminum around the edge. The only place you really have the shiny black plastic is around this, and it doesn't bother me because this is your touch controls. Yeah, you're gonna have to dust it. You're probably gonna want to get your fingerprints off of it, but since this is the only place that's getting a thumbs up from me. For another thing that I like, we are gonna have to take it to the way back. First off, let's talk about access to the third row. So there is a latch right here that you do have to pull, but when the seat moves forward, you actually have a lot of space to get back into the third row, and at the same time, you can keep a child seat in this seat. So you're not sacrificing, space. If you need to access the third row, you don't have to take a child seat out. You're not sacrificing anything. So I like this, and I like this big access to get into the third row seat. You have a step, and you can just kind of step right back in here and then pull this back into place. Now, through some quirk of engineering, they managed to eke out 4 more inches of legroom in this third row. So I'm about 5 feet tall and I weigh about 95 pounds. And okay, I don't like the fact that they put 3 seatbelts back here, meaning that you can put 3 people back here. But I do have to tell you, the legroom is actually really nice. So you're probably gonna wanna put somebody my size back here. And I probably have about 3 inches between my knee and the back of this seat, and I have plenty of foot room. You also have cup holders back here. You've got large windows. I often comment about how claustrophobic it is to sit in a third row, and these have very large windows, so there is no claustrophobia back here. Plenty of room, USB charge ports, windows. And these seats are actually comfortable. They're not zero gravity seats, but beggars can't be choosers. These are pretty well padded, and I could actually spend some time back here. I think I could spend some time back here. Oh, and look at that. The headrests don't make your head go forward like this. Hashtag Pathfinder. So overall, I think this is a really well done third row seat. Now, the final thing I want to show you that I like is even further back than this. All right, coming up to the back of the vehicle, I have to say I really like the kick-activated liftgate, because that means that if your hands are full or your hands are cold and you've got them in your pockets, you don't actually have to touch anything to get the liftgate to open, and then it makes it really easy to load stuff in. Now, what I like about this space is going to be the fact that you have buttons back here that will do some things. So first off, you have the one-touch button that will allow you to put your seats down. So one touch there, and these third row seats just go down. I like the fact that I don't have to hold it, and they just go down. Now, what's more is you have a button that will do a fast drop for the the second row seats as well. Gotta hit the button right, my fingers are cold. So then you have a relatively flat load floor, and you got there pretty easily without lots of buttons and latches and things like that. Now you will have to manually put the second row seats back up, but you have buttons here, again, one touch, that put your third row seats back up into place. And again, things that make my life easier, get a thumbs up for me. What makes my life even easier is the fact that you have this right here. Suspension that will automatically lower by pressing the button. You do need to have the vehicle on, but by pressing the button, this will lower, which will make it easier for you to load things into or out of the vehicle. Now, total travel for this suspension is going to be about 4 inches. So you can, like, you have the baseline, and then it can lower 2 inches, and then it can go up 2 inches. But again, you press the button and the suspension will go back up. I think all of this is just really cool. Okay, since we're here, it is time to transition into the things that I don't like about the Nissan Armada. And even though they have managed to create better space back here and they have added more legroom to the third row, this area right here is just okay in terms of storage. I'm gonna get dirty for you. So, yeah, this is what this looks like back here. You could fit a couple of suitcases back here without putting the third row down. You could maybe fit a walker or a stroller back here without putting the third row down. You're not packing gear back here for a road trip. You're just not going to do it unless you have, you know, a roof cargo, like a Thule cargo bin, or you're towing something. If you're taking a road trip in this vehicle with, you know, all the seats full, their stuff is not going here. So this, I mean, like I said, the things that I like are going to far outnumber the things that I don't like. And if I had to pick some things that I didn't like, this is just one of those things. This is just one of those things. All right. Let's go inside to see the other things I don't like. So the second thing that I want to point to that I don't like isn't necessarily the seats themselves, because these zero gravity seats are really comfortable on the butt and back. But the problem for me as a petite person is going to be the seat bottoms. And as you can tell, like, I feel like they push my legs out. They don't hit me in just the right place. This is not a problem somebody who's tall is going to have. This is totally a short person problem. So if you're on the petite side of things, you're going to want to give this a good test and see if this is a problem for you. But it just felt a little bit awkward and weird for me to have this kind of like pushing my legs up and out. Now, another thing that I'm going to point to that I don't like is how big this vehicle is to drive. Now, on the interior, you have some really good space. Like, this is just really roomy and big. But that creates some problems in terms of your spatial relations when you're looking out the front window. And I kept wanting to drive a little bit more to the right than I should have, because, again, this is so big. So it's something that you would get used to as an owner, but in the short time that I had with the vehicle, picking nits, it was really tough to get used to. And, you know, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in my driving impressions, but yeah, this drives really big. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about is, you guessed it, this right here, the wireless charger. I only had my phone in here for like half an hour, and it heated up my phone. So, you know, I can only imagine that if I was on a road trip and I had it in here for 3 hours, it would probably stop charging my phone. It could overheat my phone. And I don't know. I just wish that more automakers would put cool pads or have a system in place to make this area cool. And like, there's a cover here. So like, imagine having your phone in here and covering it up. It's going to get even hotter in there. So I just, something needs to be done in the wireless charging environment to keep this area cool so that your phone doesn't overheat. And, you know, General Motors can do it. Everybody else can do it. But it's not done here. So just a heads up on that. So I would say that's the final thing that I don't like on the 2025 Nissan Armada. All right, it is time for me to do some brief driving impressions. I've literally had about an hour behind the wheel, so this is going to be just brief. And what I want to say is the 2025 Nissan Armada feels and drives really big. So if that's the kind of vehicle that you are looking for, this is it. If you are looking for something that drives smaller, this might not be for you. I will say it took me a long time to get used to the spatial relations of this vehicle, and I kept wanting to kind of push to the right in my lane because I don't know, I just felt like I should be over to the right. And so it took me a while to get used to that. So you have to get used to the spatial relations, but once you get used to the proportions of the vehicle and how the vehicle drives, this is really very, very comfortable. And I will say with the lower belt line, even as a smaller driver, I have really good visibility out of all of the windows, and I definitely appreciate that. For a vehicle of this size, you want to be able to see while you are driving. I think there's a lot of cool technology. I think that the comfort level is really high. The seat bottoms are maybe a little bit big for me, but outside of that, the ergonomics of the seat are really comfortable. Acceleration is good. You know, I know a lot of people are going to be like, me, there's no longer a V8 engine. Okay, yeah, this V6, the twin turbo V6, has more power than the outgoing V8. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's a good engine. It's a good powertrain. Made it to the 9-speed automatic transmission. So if I had to sum up this vehicle, I would say this is a large and comfortable family cruiser that does really well in a suburban situation and is incredibly comfortable on the highway. You just have to get used to the sheer size of this vehicle. So that is what I have for you today in the 2025 Nissan Armada. Thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road.